Some mythologies promise salvation, others one of punishment. They tell of gods who shape the world, of grand designs, of cosmic battles between order and chaos. But what if the universe was never meant for us? What if there were no celestial wars, no higher purpose, just an existence so vast, so indifferent, that the very act of understanding it could break the mind? This is not a mythology of heroes and villains, nor one of redemption and prophecy. This is a mythos of madness, oblivion, and the horrifying realization that we are nothing, that our entire world is a fragile illusion, and that somewhere, beyond the thin veil of sanity, something vast and hungry waits to awaken. A mythos where gods do not care, where ancient beings slumber beneath the sea, waiting for the stars to align, where forbidden knowledge lingers in lost tomes, daring the foolish to read their pages, not to grant enlightenment, but to bring ruin. A mythos where to see the truth is to go mad. This is Pantheon mythology, and this is the Darkest Mythos. If you too want to keep your sanity, check out Pantheon Apparel, a clothing brand inspired by myths from around the world. We ship worldwide and are rated excellent on Trustpilot. Link in the description. Now then, roll some epic music. March the 15th, 1937, a writer dies alone in Providence, Rhode Island, penniless, unknown, unpublished in any book of significance. His name? H.P. Lovecraft. He had spent his final years in pain, ravaged by cancer, malnourished, writing letters to friends while his own creations haunted him. His works, scattered across cheap pulp magazines, were dismissed as the ramblings of an eccentric. The world did not know his name. His stories barely paid for his next meal, and yet, his words would not be forgotten. Lovecraft never saw his work rise beyond obscurity. He died believing he was a failure, but the stories he left behind would not fade. Decades later, his words would be unearthed, expanded, and whispered like ancient scripture. A mythos formed, one that would spread, evolve, and root itself in the darkest corners of fiction, until it became something far more terrifying than mere stories. Mythologies exist to provide order. They explain creation, give meaning to suffering, and promise salvation or punishment. Even the cruelest gods serve a purpose, weaving mortals into a larger design. But not this mythos. This is a mythology that offers no comfort, no cosmic justice, no redemption. The gods are not benevolent, nor are they vengeful. They are vast, blind, and indifferent. The horrors they bring are not punishments. They are not lessons. They are simply inevitable. Most mythologies revolve around gods, whether as creators, rulers, or destroyers. Even the most unpredictable deities leave their mark on the world. But in Lovecraft's mythos, the universe does not shape, guide, or even notice us. There is no will at play, only an uncaring vastness. The old ones do not rule, they simply exist. They do not seek power, nor do they seek destruction. Humanity is not their enemy, nor their servant. To them, we are less than dust. Our existence is neither acknowledged nor remembered, just a brief disturbance in the void, gone before it was ever noticed. And yet, there are those who seek the truth. Most myths reward knowledge. The pursuit of wisdom leads to enlightenment, to ascension, to greater power. But in Lovecraft's mythos, knowledge is the enemy. The more you learn about the true nature of reality, the more you begin to unravel. The truth is too vast, too alien, too incomprehensible. And the human mind, it is too small to contain it. The Necronomicon is no gift. It is a death sentence. Those who read its pages do not gain power. They surrender to something far worse. Cultists lose their humanity, scholars lose their minds. The further one peers into the abyss, the less of themselves they bring back. To know is to suffer, to understand is to be lost. And the worst part? There is no way back. Once the veil is lifted, once the truth is seen, the mind cannot unsee it. Madness is the only escape from a world that was never meant to be understood. Even the most terrifying of myths give meaning to existence. Gods create, they judge, they shape the destinies of men. Even death has a purpose. Whether in the afterlife, reincarnation, or eternal oblivion, it fits within a system. Lovecraft's mythos destroys that comfort. In this universe, there is no destiny, no higher plan, no reason we exist at all. If the old ones ever ruled, it was long before humans crawled into existence. If they return, it will not be to reclaim us, but simply because the stars have aligned. And there is no grand story, no prophecy, no salvation. Our existence is an accident, a flickering light before an eternal nothingness. And what makes this so terrifying? We are not even important enough to be destroyed. The great old ones do not seek to eradicate humanity. They do not even acknowledge us. Their movements are not malice, they are instinct. We are ants on a battlefield, crushed not because we were hated, because we were simply in the way. And worst of all, sanity itself is an illusion. In Lovecraft's mythos, the mind is not a fortress, it is a brittle shell, shielding us from the truths too vast to comprehend. To see beyond that fragile veil is not to be enlightened, but to be shattered. Madness is not a sickness. It is not a curse. It is the only rational response to an existence that was never meant to be understood. The Necronomicon, the cultists, the dreamers, they are not touched by madness. They are merely those who have glimpsed the truth. The question is not why Lovecraft's mythos drives people insane. The question is, how could it not? And yet the most terrifying part of this mythos isn't what we already know. It's what we don't. The old ones may return, or they may already be here, sleeping, waiting, shifting just beyond the edges of perception. What happens when they wake? Perhaps they will simply rise and move on, never even noticing the creatures that scurry across the planet. Or perhaps we will see them, and in doing so lose all sense of what we once were. There are gods, and then there are things that should never be called gods. Most deities are worshipped for their wisdom, their wrath, or their power, shaping the fate of mortals who either revere or fear them. But the beings in this mythos are not rulers, nor creators, nor saviors. They are not even destroyers in the way we understand destruction. They simply exist, ancient, incomprehensible, and terrifyingly real. They are the great old ones, and the outer gods, being so far removed from human existence that our minds cannot even grasp their true forms. They do not hate us, they do not love us. For most of them, we don't exist, and yet their presence seeps into our world, whispering in the dreams of the unstable, luring the desperate toward forbidden truths. Some have seen them, if only in glimpses, and their minds have never been the same. Cthulhu, the most well-known, yet the least understood. He sleeps beneath the waves, waiting for the stars to align. He does not rule the sea, nor does he command storms, yet sailors whisper his name with fear. His form is only vaguely described, something like a man, like a dragon, like an octopus. But what is seen is never truly what is. When he stirs, the minds of men unravel. The cultists claim he will rise again, and his dreams already reach beyond his prison in the sunken city of Collier, infecting the thoughts of the living. Perhaps they are mad, or perhaps they are the only ones who understand what is coming. Nyarlathotep moves among us, the crawling chaos, the one who wears 1,000 masks, the one who chooses to interact with mortals. He whispers, deceives, misleads. He does not sleep, nor does he wait. He acts. He is not a mindless force, but a deliberate one, sowing madness, twisting reality, feeding on confusion and despair. His forms are many, but none are true. He has walked among men, appearing as a prophet, a pharaoh, a scientist. His words are honey-laced poison, drawing victims into his grasp without ever needing to touch them. While most of the outer gods remain indifferent, he watches, and that alone is enough to be afraid. Azathoth, the blind idiot god, the nuclear chaos at the center of everything, the being that dreams the universe into existence without thought or intention. He does not rule. He does not think. He simply writhes in the heart of all creation, surrounded by the piping of mindless flutes, the drums of madness beating for eternity. If he were to wake, reality itself would collapse, not because of malice or wrath, but because all existence is nothing more than his fitful slumber. There are no prayers to Azathoth, no cults that seek his favor, only those who understand the horrifying truth. We are a fleeting mistake in the mind of a sleeping god, and one day he may stir. Shub-Niggurath, the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young, a force of unrelenting creation, of ceaseless mutation. She is fertility turned to horror, a thing that births and never stops, producing offspring that should never exist, creatures that twist and multiply in ways beyond reason. Worshipped in deep forests, in places untouched by civilization, she does not nurture. She consumes, transforms, spreads. There are no depictions of her, only an endless writhing mass, a chaotic womb from which monstrosities crawl into the world. Those who seek a blessing do not remain human for long. Yog-Sothoth, the key and gate. He is knowledge, he is time, he sees all, exists beyond all. He is not bound by past or future, he simply is, a being that perceives everything at once. There is no question he cannot answer, no secret he does not know. Those who seek forbidden wisdom find him, whether they mean to or not. But to understand him is to see too much, to know too much. Those who stare into the abyss of Yog-Sothoth do not return whole. Some vanish, as if they were never born. Others remain, but they are not the same. Their minds stretch in ways the human brain was never meant to endure, filling with knowledge too vast, too monstrous to be contained. Dagon, like Nyarlathotep, is a rare exception among the great old ones. While the others remain distant, he interacts with humanity, and humanity interacts with him. He is not entirely beyond our world. He has followers, worshippers, those who change themselves to be closer to him. In coastal villages and isolated towns, his name is spoken in hushed whispers. His cult does not wait for the stars to align. They serve him now. They offer sacrifices. They take to the waters, their bodies changing, their flesh reshaping, becoming something that is no longer fully human. The deep ones, his spawn, his children, walk among us in secret, waiting for the day when the ocean will reclaim us all. Unlike Cthulhu who sleeps or Azathoth who does not think, Dagon is aware. He listens. And his followers ensure that his will, whatever it may be, is carried out. These are not gods in the same way we understand gods. They do not rule the heavens, nor do they shape the world with purpose. They are the cold, unfeeling forces that exist beyond human comprehension, and yet there are those who worship them, those who whisper their names in the dark, those who wait for the moment when the veil will finally lift, when the stars will align, when the old ones will rise again. And these are only some of them. There are others, some whose names are forgotten, their influence buried beneath ancient ruins, some who slumber in places beyond time, waiting for the right moment to slip into our world, some who are whispered of only in the most obscure and forbidden texts, their very existence a secret too dangerous to uncover. Because in the end, that is the true horror of Lovecraft's mythos, The gods of other pantheons demand faith. These do not. They do not need us. They have never needed us. And yet their influence lingers, twisting minds, corrupting dreams, pulling at the edges of reality itself. We are told that ignorance is bliss. Perhaps that is the only mercy this universe has left. Some myths offer a world filled with wonder, gods shaping mountains, celestial beings walking among men, realms where the divine and mortal intersect. Lovecraft's mythos offers no such thing. His world is not built for us. It does not belong to us. It is a landscape of forgotten ruins, sleeping horrors, and places that should have remained undisturbed. This is a world where cities sink beneath the waves, their architecture older than human memory, built by hands that were never human. Collier, where Cthulhu slumbers, is just one of many such places, its impossible angles and shifting geometry warping the minds of those unfortunate enough to glimpse it. It is not merely submerged, it is imprisoned beneath the ocean, hidden to where no man was meant to find it. Those who have dreamt of Collier speak of titanic monoliths, alien carvings, and a city that feels alive, shifting and changing when it is not observed. But the sea does not hold a monopoly on nightmares. Deep within the dreamland lies Cadath, a forbidden city where the Great Ones dwell. Mortals are not meant to find it. Those who seek it either vanish or return empty-handed, haunted by visions of what they almost saw. It is a city of black stone, older than humanity, older than time itself. If it truly exists, it may hold the answers to the universe, or the end of whoever dares reach it. Buried beneath the shifting sands, the ruins of Irem, the city of pillars, stands as a testament to human arrogance. Its origins stretch beyond recorded history, whispered of in forbidden texts and feared by those who know what once dwelled there. Some say its people vanished without trace. Others believe something ancient still lingers beneath the dunes. Now only ruins remain. Or perhaps something still waits beneath the sand, calling to those foolish enough to listen. But some places are even more unnatural. There are realms that do not obey the laws of reality, spaces where time collapses and distances lose meaning. The Plateau of Leng is a place neither here nor there, neither in this world nor beyond it. Some claim it is home to entities that move unseen between realms, existing beyond the reach of time and logic. Others believe it is a fragment of another world, a leftover piece of a forgotten reality that still lingers at the edges of existence. The few who claim to have set foot on Leng speak of grotesque temples, strange inhuman priests, and the lingering feeling that they were being watched. And then there are the dreamlands, where the sleeping mind may wander into places that do not exist in waking reality, but dreams in this mythos are not safe. Mortals may stumble into realms where human minds were never meant to wander. Some never wake up, others return, but they are not whole. What they saw lingers behind their eyes, shaping their thoughts, eroding their sanity. The veil between the waking and the dreaming is thin, and in Lovecraft's world, even a dream can open the wrong door. The dreamlands are a place of strange cities, moonlit shores, and black seas that stretch into infinity. But there are things in those waters, things that watch, things that follow the dreamers back into the waking world. Yet reality itself is just as treacherous. In other mythologies, the world has a shape, a meaning, an order, but here, the world is not stable. It shifts, it decays. The laws that govern it are fragile, temporary, meaningless in the face of what lurks beyond. Some claim that beyond the farthest reaches of space lies a void of madness, where light does not shine and time does not flow. It is here that Azathoth dreams at the center of the cosmos, and around him the universe spirals into nothing. The world is not just a setting, it is a prison built on the bones of forgotten masters. We are trespassers in a reality that has outlived us before we were even born. These places are not abandoned. They are dormant. There are truths that humanity was never meant to uncover. In Lovecraft's mythos, knowledge is not the key to power. It's a catalyst for madness. Those who seek to understand the cosmos, to lift the veil of mystery, find themselves staring into an abyss that stares back. The more they learn, the more they unravel. And at the heart of this peril lies the written word, the ancient texts that have endured through centuries, waiting to ensnare the curious and ambitious alike. The most infamous of these dark volumes is the Necronomicon, also known as the Al-Azif, written by the mad Arab Abdul al-Hazred. Rumoured to be bound in human skin and inked in blood, its pages are not a map to enlightenment. They are a trap, luring readers into the void. They whisper of unspeakable truths, of alien gods who do not see, who do not care, who exist beyond comprehension. Those who dare to explore its secrets do not gain wisdom. They are consumed by the knowledge, driven to insanity, forever haunted by what they've glimpsed. Yet the Necronomicon is one of many cursed manuscripts. The Panacotic manuscripts, said to predate humanity, hold cryptic warnings of the Old Ones and the Outer Gods. The elt-down shards, carved with otherworldly glyphs, tell of lost civilizations and the horrors that brought them to ruin. The Book of Ibon, filled with rituals and incantations, tempts seekers of power, but only offers despair. Each one of these texts stands as a reminder. To know is to lose oneself. What makes these writings so horrifying is not only what they reveal, but that they persist. Passed down in secrecy, concealed in ancient vaults, hidden behind layers of enchantment and protection, they still find their way into desperate hands. With every reading, every page turned, another mind is shattered, another soul is corrupted. Some men fear the dark, others embrace it. In Lovecraft's mythos, there are those who do more than whisper about the horrors that lurk beyond the veil. They worship them. Hidden in crumbling towns, beneath the waves, in forgotten places, cults gather in secret, spreading madness, ensuring that when the moment comes, they will be ready. These are not faiths built on hope or salvation. Their prayers bring no miracles. Their devotion earns no protection. They serve because they have glimpsed the truth, because in a universe ruled by vast, uncaring deities, submission is the only way to avoid being swallowed whole. The esoteric order of Dagon is among the most disturbing of these cults, a congregation of fishermen and town elders who become what they worship. In the coastal town of Innsmouth, this secretive order thrives behind decaying facades, its influence suffocating the town like a disease. They offer sacrifices to the ocean, pledging their lives to Dagon and the Deep Ones, in exchange for prosperity and eternal life. But the gifts of the sea come at a cost. Those who devote themselves to Dagon undergo a slow, monstrous transformation, their bodies reshaping, their features twisting, until they can no longer pass as human. Eventually, they vanish beneath the waves, leaving behind empty houses and whispered warnings to those who dare visit Innsmouth. The cult of Cthulhu is scattered across distant lands, lurking in jungles and ruins of forgotten civilizations. Unlike Dagon's followers, they do not seek transformation or divine favor. Their god slumbers in the sunken city, his dreams stretching beyond time, shaping the thoughts of those who listen. They believe the stars will one day align, and that he will rise, and that the world will be forever changed. Whether they will share in his return or be consumed by it, they do not question. Their devotion is absolute. And so they wait, chanting in lost temples, preparing for a future that will show them no mercy. Perhaps the most insidious of all is the Starry Wisdom Cult, a sect devoted to Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos. Unlike the followers of the older ones, they are not lost in blind faith. They seek power, believing themselves to be enlightened by Nyarlathotep's whispers. They do not beg for mercy or wait for ascension. They act, infiltrating society, planting madness where order once stood. Their temples are not always hidden in the wilderness or buried beneath ancient ruins. Some stand in the heart of cities, disguised as scholars, priests, and thinkers. Their god does not sleep. He walks among them, and that makes them far more dangerous. Cults in Lovecraft's mythos are not mere collections of the deranged. They are the last remnants of an ancient truth, the remnants of those who have glimpsed what lies beyond the veil. Some worship to survive, others to destroy, and some, perhaps because they no longer have a choice. And the most terrifying thought of all, they're still here, watching, preparing. Their gods are patient, and humanity has never been more vulnerable. Some truths are too vast, too horrifying to comprehend. In Lovecraft's mythos, terror is not found in monstrous claws or vengeful gods, but in the realization that existence itself is meaningless. The universe is not shaped by will or guided by reason. It is cold, indifferent, and beyond human understanding. The horror of Lovecraft's universe is not just that we're insignificant. It is that we were never meant to exist at all. The great old ones and the outer gods do not watch over humanity. They do not punish or reward. They simply are, and when they stir, it is not out of malice, but blind, mechanical inevitability. Their actions are as thoughtless as a storm breaking over the ocean or a fault line giving way beneath the earth. Our fate is not even an afterthought. And yet, there are those who see the patterns, who hear the whispers beneath the surface of reality. They are not prophets, they are not visionaries, they are victims. The scholars who seek hidden knowledge, the cultists who kneel in darkened halls, the dreamers who stray too far from the safety of their minds, all of them reach towards something that cannot be grasped. And in doing so, they are lost. Madness is not a punishment. It is the only mercy. For the rest of us, ignorance is a fragile shield. But that shield will not last forever. The stars will align, the old ones will awake, and when they rise, there will be no reckoning, no final battle, no collapse of kingdoms or fall of empires. There will be nothing.